Like if people aren't making it in your organization, or your leaders, they call you and they have, something that's going on for them, we always come back to this. We always come back and we say, well, your attitude is just not, don't you know attitude is everything? That's why it's not happening. We come back to just go do more. We come back to really this. And this is really what we have to fall back on. And what it hides, in a certain sense, okay, is something. There's something behind that this is the resolution to for us as a culture of an organization. If that's the answer, and all of those things that have become really now this attitude, the behavior, this culture that we have with being a leader in Herbalife and making it, what is it protecting us from, or what is it covering up that's there as a reality for us? Yeah. Isn't there like a reality that most of your people are not going to make it? Yeah. It's a reality. And what DJ's talking about is inauthentic in a sense. I don't know if that's exactly it, but let me voice it this way, is we sell people on a dream business that they can make it. Yet deep down inside, what do we really know? Yeah. We know that the reality is that most of them aren't going to make it.
Have you ever been contacted by an old friend? Or maybe it was a family member or former co-worker sharing with you this amazing business opportunity. They may have referred to this opportunity as direct marketing or network marketing or multi-level marketing. And when you started to feel a little suspicious, they assured you that it is not a pyramid scheme and definitely not a scam. It's totally legit and done in partnership with a large, well-established business that's been around for many years, even decades. If this sounds like something you've experienced before, you're not alone. Most Americans will be actively recruited to join a multi-level marketing company at some point in their life, and 1 in 13 will eventually participate in one, with over 6 million Americans actively in one right now. This is not a small market. In 2018 alone, the MLM industry grossed over $35 billion in revenue. Those who love it call it a great business opportunity for aspiring entrepreneurs. Those who hate it call it a pyramid scheme, where only a few at the top make all the money by exploiting those below them. But who's right? What purpose does multi-level marketing really serve? And what is the truth behind this controversial industry? What's up, guys? So I think the best way for us to approach understanding how the multi-level marketing industry actually works is by viewing it through the lens of a skeptic. You know, those people that say, hey, all multi-level marketing companies are just thinly veiled pyramid schemes. So if we do that, we first need to understand how a pyramid scheme actually works, and then determine how multi-level marketing differs both legally and structurally from the pyramid scheme.
A lot of times people like to say, it's another pyramid scheme. By the way, here's what a pyramid scheme is so everybody understands and they stop saying it. Every time somebody says pyramid scheme, you sound uneducated. And I'll tell you why. Because in a pyramid scheme, a product doesn't exist.
That is false. There absolutely can be products and services sold by a pyramid scheme. In January of 2020, the FTC charged the company Success by Health with being a pyramid scheme, stating, SBH sells coffee, tea, and dietary supplements through a network of independent distributors called affiliates. According to the FTC, SBH tells customers that they can replace their job income in 6 months and gain financial freedom in 18 months. In reality, the business structure ensures that the vast majority of affiliates lose money in the program. According to the FTC, SBH pushes affiliates to invest heavily into buying SBH products and tickets to costly training events, but compensates them based on how many new affiliates they recruit and the volume of SBH products they and their recruits buy, not on their sales to retail customers. According to the FTC, SBH presses affiliates to max out credit cards, borrow from family, and sell or mortgage their home to buy inventory and build their business. This is exactly how a classic pyramid scheme works. A company recruits sales agents, then sells them on the dream that successful entrepreneurship and financial freedom are right around the corner. Then they have their recruits buy their product in bulk and tell them that they can make money in one of two ways: by either selling them to a retail customer or by recruiting someone else, selling them on the same get-rich-quick dream, then dumping those products onto them. The second option is called building a downline. This downline of recruits can go on for several levels, and the commissions are structured in a way that the profits made by people selling in the downline flows upwards through the upline. Because of this, making money from the first option is very difficult, since so much margin needs to be built into the product's retail price in order to pay for several levels of commissions, resulting in products that are overpriced and uncompetitive. Because selling to retail customers can be too difficult in a pyramid scheme, the only real way to make money is to endlessly recruit distributors and dump products on them. Consequently, no real value is being exchanged by selling a product, but instead it's being used to transfer money from the recruits at the bottom of the pyramid to those at the top. So we need to understand the general philosophy of how all these money transfer schemes work. We first start off with the deception. There needs to be an initial deception to lure in outside money, whether it's from recruits or investors, to promise them something that will likely not materialize and lure in their money. Then there needs to be, while you're taking their money, little to no value exchanged. And then because of this, there's going to be an eventual collapse. A good example of this would be, you can call it the sister to the pyramid scheme, the Ponzi scheme. So it follows that same trajectory. You start off with an initial deception. Let's say you call it, start a company, call it Ponzi Investments. And you start off with the initial deception telling people, hey, invest with us and you're going to get a good return. Let's say we guarantee you a 24% per year return and we pay out, every month, 2%, with say initial investment of 100 grand. Okay, so that is a very impressive return. And if you can convince outside investors that you can achieve that and provide it to them, they're going to cough up the money. So that lure of a great return will bring in the investors, will bring in the money. Now, obviously, there is no 24% return. So in order to keep that going, you need to keep getting outside investors. And once they bring their money in, you could pay old investors with the new money that's coming in. And in the mix, you're taking money out, or the person running Ponzi investments taking money out and spending it on themselves. Now, if you look at how that scheme works, ultimately, there is no 24%. There is no real value exchange. It's just transferring the money from new investors to the creator of the Ponzi scheme and to old investors. So yes, people that got in early could even potentially make money from it, but ultimately it's a money transfer scheme. There's a deception, there's no real value exchanged, and then there's eventual collapse, because unless you can get an endless supply of new investors, or if people start wanting to take their money out, it has to collapse. But obviously these money transfer schemes are not legal, but multi-level marketing is. Therefore, it can't possibly be a money transfer scheme, right? Well, in this video, we're going to look into it and see if that's actually the case, or if possibly the laws and regulations for multi-level marketing needs to change. So now that we know what a pyramid scheme is, we can ask what makes multi-level marketing any different. According to the FTC, MLMs have the same compensation structure as most pyramid schemes, in that you can make money by either selling to retail customers or by recruiting new distributors and earning commissions on what they buy and sell. The only thing different is that in legal MLMs, distributors will get paid primarily from their sales to retail customers without having to recruit new distributors. But do these legal requirements address the three main problems of money transfer schemes? Let's take it one by one. In order to sell the dream to new recruits, MLMs regularly engage in deceptive marketing.
before you know it, in 4 months, working the same hours, 2 to 3 hours a week, the income hit $1,500 a month. Obviously, we're thinking this thing is working. And in 90 days, our income hit $10,000 a month. And our very first calendar year, our income hit $350,000. In our second year, I turned 30, Emiko turned 25, and our income hit $1.1 million. We had become millionaires.
Learn as you go. Learn as you go. But the critical thing was, it was in Herbalife, get rich as you learn. Write it down. Learn as you go, but get rich as you learn.
To combat this, the FTC takes a whack-a-mole approach to penalizing deceptive MLM claims that date back to their 1979 ruling against Amway, forbidding the misrepresentation of past, present, or future profits, earnings, or sales. This includes representing by implication that distributors earn or achieve any stated amount of profits, earnings, or sales in excess of the average. To ensure there's a real market demand for what MLMs sell, the FTC requires the majority of revenue made comes from retail customers. This avoids the pyramid scheme tactic of requiring distributors to purchase a certain monthly volume of product in order to remain active. This volume requirement is almost always in excess of what they can personally use or sell, creating a synthetic demand for these products. Although it's rare to hear of customers that regularly purchase products from MLMs, since the focus is usually on business opportunity, if most revenue comes from outside the system, it can at least satisfy the illusion of retail demand and value exchange. For a business model to be sustainable, those involved will need to be able to earn a living wage. And despite FTC regulations, most involved with MLMs fail miserably at making a livable income, with the vast majority losing money according to the Consumer Awareness Institute, and most making less than 70 cents per hour for their work.
Bruh.
And that's before deducting expenses.
Bruh.
Needless to say, this is completely unsustainable, resulting in sky-high turnover rates. According to AARP, more than 50% of participants drop out of their first year, and over 90% within 10 years. Due to these incredibly high failure rates, MLMs need to always be recruiting new distributors to stay in business. The way MLMs work, little market value is ever made with the product sold, but instead used as a tool to transfer as much money as legally allowed from those at the bottom to those at the top. And like fake gurus, scammers, and charlatans, MLMs exist to exploit the dumb, desperate, and greedy. In the years to come, we'll likely see small tweaks on how this industry is regulated, but as long as people are still willing to exploit one another for profit, multi-level marketing is here to stay. So what is an ethical way for a company to compensate its salespeople? Because I do believe in a commission-based compensation structure. Well, it's not rocket science. It's basically you take the general structure of a money transfer scheme, deception, lack of value exchange, collapse, and you just reverse it, the opposite of that. Transparency, a clear value exchange, and sustainability. So to highlight this, I'll even give a real world example for a business I co-own. We have a fairly large, a few dozen salespeople that are paid through a commission-based compensation. But there is no recruiting, there's no downline, there's no upline, none of that nonsense. It's very straightforward. So we have a team all over the nation, several dozen, and how do they make money? So the product is sold by the case. For every store they sell it to, they get a flat payment plus a percentage of all the purchases that store makes. If you're a salesperson, you can just do the math real quickly in your head. Hey, every month I need to sell to a certain number of stores. And if preferably they're in a market that is going to get a good amount of volume sold, then I know I could build up quite a bit of income. We even have people, I can even put an example, I'm going to censor out all the sensitive information, but people that make, 6 figures from doing this. And in this system, because it's done right, everybody's winning. The customer's winning because they're buying a good product at a very good competitive price relative to, the other competing products. The store owner's winning because they're getting a good margin on their retail sales. The salesperson's winning because they're getting a good commission from all their sales. Enough to make a living off of, enough to make a good living off of in some cases.
Wow, winning.
And the owners are also winning because there's enough margin after all of that to make a good profit. That is good capitalism. Everybody's winning.
You make a choice to win, and you win.
Now, although that seems simple enough, it's not necessarily easy. The burden of performance and the onus is on the owners and executives of that company to produce goods and services that are competitive enough to where everyone could win. The customer's happy with the value they're getting for their money, and all the people involved, the salespeople, the store owners, the manufacturers, everyone's getting paid, everyone's making money, and everyone's happy. The onus is on the people at the top to come up with a business structure in competitive products and services to achieve all that. That is not easy. It's simple. When it's all said and done, it should have a simple end structure, but it's not easy. MLMs try to get away with this by selling bloated, overpriced products and putting the burden of performance on people at the bottom. Some of them won't do too well, but in that case, oh well, the company still wins because they dump their product on them, and if they can't sell it, well, too bad. And if they are able to sell their product, then the company wins even more. So no matter what, they're dumping all the burden of performance on the people below. And because of that, in my opinion, the MLM business model is, even though not illegal, it's predatory. I put it in the category of what I like to call bad capitalism. What I mentioned before with the structure that me and businesses I'm involved in employ is what I call good capitalism, where everyone's winning, where the trading is going on, the company's making a profit, and everyone is getting either compensated well and fairly for their services, or they're getting some sort of value out of it. So pretty much everyone is getting something out of good capitalism. Good capitalism doesn't need to be a zero-sum game where there's winners and losers. Everyone could be a winner.
I'm sorry, winning. You starting to get the concept now? Oops, winning.
For bad capitalism, there's going to be winners and losers. In some cases, like in the case of a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme, or even for MLM, there needs to be losers at the bottom for the people at the top to win. But I'm actually going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. I don't necessarily think that the concept of MLM, where salespeople need to recruit a downline, should necessarily be banned, okay? I don't prefer governments to regulate everything to smithereens and say you can't do this and you can't do that. I prefer maximum amount of freedom. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist that thinks just let markets do whatever they want and they'll magically self-correct. No, that's not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of predatory behavior, and there's going to be a lot of people exploiting others. And if anything, I think it will to some extent collapse on itself. So there needs to be regulation. But what was mentioned previously about how money transfer schemes work with the deception, little to no value exchange, and then collapse. Companies should be regulated so that there's transparency. There should be nothing wrong with full transparency of a job that someone's getting into. There should be a clear value exchange. Nothing wrong with that. And it should be a system that is sustainable, something that doesn't have to necessarily collapse in on itself. I don't think that is being too unreasonable with government regulation. So although I'm not a big fan and never will be of multi-level marketing, I think it's totally convoluted, and it's that way by design, and totally predatory. I'm still not a fan of just pulling out the band hammer and just getting rid of anything you don't like. So anyway, that's my opinion. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And yeah, no, I appreciate the support, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
I got one, yeah. I got me a bad one, fiery, like she is a dragon. My diamonds, ice, like Brick Squad, 270. I'm rolling, that's me the OG, low focus. I'm, baby like OG. oceans. She drowning, get potion. Girl, pass me the motion.